Monday, got that funk raised the issue of rights and privileges, or rights versus privileges, and I have a ton to say on that. I probably won't say it all in this video, but I'm going to talk about it, try to make it as concise as possible. So let's get into it, guys. Breakfast Club Wednesdays.
You say you wanna try, but you never do. Sugar, there's a reason why we lose. You say you wanna cry, but you never do. Sugar, there's a reason why we lose.
Hey guys, Nathan Brendan Masters, Breakfast Club Wednesdays. Rights and privileges. This is going to be a long one. I won't say a long one. This is going to be a difficult one to kind of get down. This is my second attempt at making this video because the other video I did was going on 20 minutes. So I'm going to try to condense all the things I said in that video. So I'm going to start with the idea of yes, we definitely have rights. Those rights, and I'm speaking from the point of view of an American, particularly a black guy living in America. So yeah, we definitely have rights, and those rights are given to us by the legal documents of our society, that being the Constitution, Bill of Rights, all those good things. Now, you can have various arguments about things that have happened in the past, things that are happening now. But overall, honestly, do we have rights? Yes. Now, your ability to enforce those rights, now that's where we start getting into privilege. There's never been a point in America where people have been happy with everybody having the same rights. People are horribly self-righteous and a lot of times assholes. So with that being the case, there's always an assumption that I know better than you and that I should have the rights, power, etc., and you shouldn't. So I think we need to separate rights versus rights and privileges. The way I see it is rights are given to you by the government. They're given to you by how the government is supposed to interact with you. Privilege is given to you by individuals. Those people around you who either give those privileges to you or take them from you. And that's usually based on how they feel about you. You may have rights, but the people around you may not feel very good about you and therefore may not be keen on enforcing, or may look the other way when those rights are taken from you. When we start getting into privilege is a very tricky place to go. It's a very tricky conversation. One of the things got that funk brought up was white privilege. Something I hear brought up a lot by social justice warriors and feminists. What annoys me the most is when you have a feminist talking about white privilege, and she herself is white and benefiting more than anybody from white privilege. And now, before you go, Nathan, how the hell can you say that? Are you out of your mind? I can say that this way. If you look at the actions of what a lot of white feminists do, those actions, if a man were to do them, whether that man were black, white, Asian, whatever, if a man were to do a lot of these actions, that man would be A, thrown in jail, or B, get his ass thoroughly kicked. You do not, as a man, get to walk around and harass people and even physically assault people and then just walk away from it. If I were to walk up to somebody and say, you disagree with my point of view, I'm going to hit you now, I would go to jail. And it's just like recently we're starting to see these people actually get thrown in jail for this, but it's still not as often as it should be. Just recently we've seen some crazy feminist type stuff, feminist SJ Warrior type stuff where you had, or well, at least one was a white female, just the chick in the lift, just annoying the hell out of this lift guy because of some freaking bobblehead he has on his dashboard. And she's just going off And her thing isn't even that she cared so much about what she was talking about, just that she had the privilege to be an asshole. I mean, her thing is, oh, this is going to be on Gawker, ha ha ha. It's funny that I get to screw up your life, or at least try to screw up your life, because right now I don't like something. That's a privilege that white women tend to have. Women in general, but especially white women. They have that privilege to do that. That's not something a man can do, because if it was a guy doing that, I can almost guarantee you that dude would not have even entertained that conversation for that long. He would have threw that dude out on the street, said, fine, walk your ass back to where you're trying to get to. So, yeah, different people have privileges. And I think it definitely has to do with a lot with your status. It has a lot to do with race. Race is definitely an issue. And it has a lot to do with your finances. And I don't put finances and status in the same place. A lot of times finances will dictate your status. But let's just say you can be somebody who is famous, but not necessarily rich. And you will still have status because you're that person that we know. And we may like or dislike that person, but you have a little bit more oomph because we know you. Privilege is given. And do people give you privilege based on race? Yes, I think white people do get certain privileges based on race, but I don't want to assume things about white people. Like I said, people assume people assume what is male privilege. The assumption that men just have this ability to walk around and not worry about things like safety. This is something you hear brought up a lot. Again, going back to feminists, you hear them bringing that up a lot. Well, men have that privilege because they don't know the statistics. And on top of that, when we do walk around and we show that we are concerned about safety, you tell us we shouldn't be, because most of the times when we're concerned about safety, a lot of us who have the legal right to do so will carry a gun. And then we're chided for doing that because, well, why would you carry a gun? You're not in any threat. Now, I understand that sometimes you have some guy who wants to carry an M16 around just for the fun of it, and that's silly. But, if you want to carry a small handgun or something to protect yourself, I particularly carry mace because I'm in a city that does not allow you to carry a gun unless you have a concealed carry permit. So these are things, I guess, I hope that this is cognizant, that this makes sense to people. Those are things that I see, and we tend to oversimplify them even when we talk about white privilege. But I think it's more important to see when it occurs in places such as job opportunities and obviously interactions with the police. Other than that, a lot of the privilege comes from individuals. People like this or people like that. It's nothing you can really do about that. The only time I see it as a real issue is when it comes to things like actual violations of going back to rights. And this is why I separate rights and privileges, because your rights can be violated or protected based on the privilege that you have. So if you are rich and white, you have more, well, I can even say if you're rich and black as well, you have more options to protect your rights. You have more opportunity to protect your rights. You have more people who will side with you in protecting your rights, because you have fans, and you have, I would say, depending on whether the media likes you or not, you'll have more people who feel that, hey, we should really stand with this person whose rights are being violated. So I don't know if I've made I don't know if I'm actually saying this stuff the way the way I'm thinking it. I'm trying to be concise, but this is actually something that I could probably talk about for 20, 30 minutes. Because like I said, last video was reaching 20 minutes. But I think I've said enough that you can kind of see what my take on it is. There's definitely a separation of rights and privileges. Your privilege, in my opinion, your privilege dictates how your rights will be upheld or not. So that's the way I kind of see it. And I do think those things are different. And in time, in America, we've seen a lot of people with the privilege to actually violate other people's rights, which is something that I'm not at all happy about. And I think a lot of people in this community aren't necessarily happy about. But at the same time, they are very different, and I think that's what separates them. So, all right, guys, that's it. I hope that made sense to everybody. Tomorrow, Breakfast Club Thursday, it's going to be Bionic Dance. You guys take it easy, and
for my love, if you feel like I do right now, don't say you're on the run to the other side, my love. You say you wanna try, but you never do. Sugar, there's a